Welcome to the third year Bachelor of Arts program in Psychology. Today, as part of semester 5, we will be studying criminal psychology. Under Unit 3, which is General Offences, we will be learning about jails, harmful acts against children. My name is Ms. Faye Pinto, Assistant Professor from Carmel College of Arts, Science and Commerce. In this outline today, you will learn about jails, harmful acts against children. You will also learn about the types of violence. You will learn about the impact of violence, also the risk factors and prevention towards harmful acts against children. At the end of this module, you will understand the nature of violence against children. You will identify the risk factors indicative of violence against children. You will also learn the techniques to prevent violence against children. Now, to begin with violence against children, three common terms have been generally used to describe the killing of children. The first is neonaticide, infanticide, and filicide. Neonaticide is the killing of an infant in the first 24 hours after birth. Infanticide refers to killing of young children. Filicide is a term to describe the killing of a child by a parent or caregiver. You also have familicide, which is employed to describe the killing of an intimate relationship partner and children. According to jails, violence against children include physical abuse, which are acts resulting in physical harm, including death. You have sexual abuse, which are acts involving the use of children for sexual gratification. You have emotional abuse, which are acts that involve verbal or emotional abuse. You have physical neglect, the failure to provide adequately for children. You have educational neglect, which is the failure to meet the educational needs of children. You have emotional neglect, which is the failure to meet the emotional needs of children. Now, what is the impact of violence? It can result in death, in severe injuries, in negative coping and health risk, unintended pregnancies. It contributes to a range of non-communicable diseases. It also impacts opportunities and future generations. So let's look at some of the risk factors, which include individual risk factors, close relationship factors, community and societal risk factors. At the individual level, you have biological and personal aspects. You have lower levels of education. You have low income. You have a disability or mental health problems, or identifying as or being identified as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. Harmful use of alcohol and drugs, a history of exposure to violence. In terms of close relationships, there is a lack of emotional bonding between children and parents or caregivers. There could be poor parenting practices. There is family dysfunction and separation, being associated with delinquent peers, witnessing violence between parents or caregivers, or sometimes even early or forced marriages. At a community level, you have poverty, you have high population density, low social cohesion and transient populations, easy access to alcohol and even firearms, high concentration of gangs and illicit drug dealing. Finally, at a societal level, you have where violence is very normal or it's considered normal in that society. It's absent or there is an absence or inadequate social protection. There is post-conflict situations or natural disasters, settings where there is very weak government and poor law enforcement. Okay. Now, here are some of the strategies that can be used to end violence against children using the acronym INSPIRE. The 7 strategies are I, which stands for implementation and enforcement of laws. For example, banning violent discipline and restricting access to alcohol and firearms. Then you have norms. You have N, which stands for norms and value change. For example, altering norms that condone the sexual abuse of girls or aggressive behavior among boys. S, which stands for safe environments, such as identifying neighborhood hotspots for violence and then addressing the local causes through problem-oriented policing and other interventions. Then you have P, which stands for caregivers, parental and caregiver support. For example, providing parent training to young, first-time parents. To continue, you have I, which stands for income and economic strengthening, such as microfinance and gender equity training. You have R, which stands for response and support services. For example, ensuring that the children or the child who are exposed to violence can access effective emergency care and receive appropriate psychosocial support. And finally, you have E, which stands for education and life skills, such as ensuring that the child can attend school, providing life and also social skills training. These are the references that you can use to read further. Thank you.